call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Steingart, Mr. Alport.
Here.
Mr. Barbuti.
Here.
Mr. Gold, Mr. Sykes.
Here.
Ms. Shattuck. Here. Ms. Laughlin. Here. Mr. Reber.
Here.
Mr. White.
You get approval of the meeting minutes. I guess there were two meetings. The regular meeting and this reconvened meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Is that doing both minutes, both of
Yeah.
them?
No, no reason
Yeah,
to do both
that's
at the same
fine.
time.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Bills and communications.
And I had handed out a revised schedule of payments to everybody, and the things that are highlighted are what was added since the agenda went out.
All of which relate to the Red Leaf facility.
I'll make a motion. Second.
I have a motion
Second.
and second. All those in favor? Jennifer, your report?
Well, I think the big thing to talk about today in my report is the transfer of the property for the Red Meat facility and the groundbreaking ceremony we're going to have this Thursday at 4 o'clock. So everybody should have gotten that notice. Harris, did you get the notice?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Email
Harris,
was working then.
We have problems with the email sometimes. So that's gonna be at 4 o'clock. I mean, we're gonna have a little tent there, we're gonna have water we got from the Visitors Association. I'm hoping that Ira will be there, but if he's not, Charlie said he would be master of ceremonies for us as a board member and town of Liberty supervisor. And I heard the weather's supposed to be okay. So hopefully today we're gonna work to get some brush cutting up there done and get the tent up there tomorrow, and we'll be ready for Thursday. So this is a momentous moment after.
I'll say.
When did we start?
It's
2007.
only been
So-
1, 2, 3, 4, how many years? 5?
Did you want to add anything, Walter? Because you're
No?
been making it happen.
You got the press release out to all the.
We sent
papers.
out about 200.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well-
received emails from some of our Washington representatives indicating that they were busy.
Well, I got a bunch too saying that they were furloughed, and so they. I'm
Get a
sorry.
call that they're furloughed.
No, no, I know,
Reply.
that's right. I mean, they don't
Yeah.
want to come, so now they have a reason not to, so it's easy.
Well, I think it's gonna be, something good. It's gonna be quick and sweet, but
Long time
certainly,
coming.
certainly
That's
important.
right.
Okay, that's it?
That's it, yeah, that's all.
Alan?
Okay, as you know, the Sullivan West School District Delaware campus was sold. We continue to have a potential to be part of the project. We received a call from the superintendent, Nancy Hackett, thanking us for our involvement with that project. Jen and myself made a presentation over at the town of Delaware before the board meeting there regarding IDA programs and different projects that we're currently working on. I'm currently working on the possibility of one retail project and attended various closing and amendments on IDA projects, and am networking and meeting with approximately 4 tourism destination projects that have the potential for IDA projects, and 1 manufacturing project also. And worked on investing the funds of the IDA. And that's the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is old business, the budget.
Okay, you know, at the last meeting, I handed out the draft budget for the IDA for 2014. This is something that has to be done by the end of this month. Though it's not required, I've always held a public hearing on these things. The law asks us to reach out, and that's one way that I do it. So it is sent, legally, it's sent to different people here at the county. It has to go to them, the clerk, the county manager, and then I do a public hearing. I sent you the minutes of that. And just verbally then, if we approve the budget, I can, in the next week or so, send it to the authority budget office, and we get that off, solve that problem. So this is, it's basically the same as what you said.
Any comments? Anybody have any questions? I did have a question
Okay?
on the West Hydro project.
Yes.
Is that done?
There was a 25-year project term, and the 25-year term will end on December 31st of this year. The IDA received the last payment that the IDA will receive in September of this year. It was the last remaining project that the IDA had under the prior law that allowed IDA to keep pilot payments and not disperse them to taxing jurisdictions. The program has been extended for 10 more years, but under current law, where what IDA receives will be dispersed to the county, the Tri-Valley School, and the town of Everett.
So it moves from one category to another.
Okay, so we don't have.
There'll be revenue to the IDA in project fees,
Right.
but nothing under.
Nothing discretionary.
And there'll never be another revenue under that line item unless there's a legislative change in Albany, because
That's
we're
right.
required to disperse pilot payments.
Jennifer?
Yes.
There's a couple of line items where you're proposing a decrease. So for example, accounting, you went down from 94 to 84. I'm just wondering, do we have some reason to believe that they're gonna
That's it.
charge us less next year?
There were some services that they provided that related to the audit that
I
should
think
be
that's,
Okay,
I
I see.
that's the
Okay.
extra amount. We had to give, we gave Cooper and Neiman some additional money for some of the stuff they did for us. And
And general consulting too dropped quite a bit? I'm not sure what was in the general consulting.
There was never anything budgeted. She's budgeted for that for the first time. You're looking at
The estimated final.
the
of the-
estimate, but there was nothing in the
Is that for
budget.
Right, but I'm just.
Is that the bookkeeping work?
I think that's the number.
That's
Okay,
Tara.
got it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, comments? So we should approve this budget.
Just verbally.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move we approve the 2014 IDA budget.
How about a second?
Second.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, new business. I guess,
The first thing is,
third quarter payment to the partnership. And that. So I need this is the resolution here?
It is.
I'll move the resolution. So we,
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Can
Make
you
sure
let the record
the- yeah.
reflect that I recuse myself?
Oh, no, I thought that was a second. Can I get a second?
I'll second. Second, sorry.
I've marked the resolution that Mrs. Laughlin has abstained.
You want, you know what, Harold, I have a seat for you. Right here.
That's all right. You're fine.
That's why, this is a smart
I
guy.
wonder
That's right.
everything. Yes.
I saw Harris and
moved, I
Charlie.
think,
It does,
No,
Harris and Charlie.
Harris, Charlie. Harris, Charlie.
Yeah.
All those, it's carried, is it?
Yeah.
I interrupted myself. Okay. New business, the second thing is approving Harris Beach as special counsel.
and one thing I have here is their application, which I'd like to give to the board members.
You got one of these? This is the application.
You did the resolution to do this.
You won't recognize exactly what this is when you see vary a lifestyle, but this is the application of the prospective purchaser of the Kutcher's 1,310-acre property. And I already received from Mr. Reber an indication that he will not act on resolutions involving Kutcher's, correct?
No.
And Harris also?
I have a question, and maybe it's not the right time to bring this up. When do you recuse yourself from a project? I have no contact with the new purchaser, but I do have contact with the Kutcher family.
You should ask Sean Griffin after we retain him.
So how do you want me to?
This is a motion to retain special counsel. So, unless you have some relationship with Sean Griffin.
Right.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm in.
Once he's on board, then, and Sean, you could do the same. I mean, it doesn't matter.
I'll just recuse
It's
going
easier.
forward, it doesn't matter, there's enough votes.
So my question is, we're not voting on this portion right now, because I
Yeah.
got some questions on this.
You're not voting on that
We're
at
not
all?
voting on
No.
this at all, okay.
Okay, this is only for Harris Beach.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, a second motion, or a second resolution to approve Harris Beach for the motor club project.
I'll make the motion.
I got a motion.
A second.
Mr. Reaver, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, authorizing, the next resolution is authorizing the chairman of the IDA to sign an option agreement in regards to the food hub project.
For Walter, the option agreements for the purchase of the property. Okay,
You're out.
I'm gonna recuse on that as well.
All right, I have these to hand around, and I can, there is a change I'd like to make to this. Which we can go over here in a second. The resolution sort of recounts the current status of the project, which there's like a three-legged funding stool for this project, or in addition to the money that the agency will invest. If you look at the second page, you'll see an indication in the top whereas clause that we've received the RBEG grant. In the next whereas clause, we've received the RBOG grant. In the next whereas clause, that we've applied through the CFA process for $310,000 from New York State for funding. And as you know from communications that were sent around, we have been selected as a priority project for the Mid-Hudson region and the Capital District region, because this is a project that involves a food hub in both Hudson, New York, and Columbia County, and in Glenwild. We're far enough into this process that we have been encouraged to go ahead and get a formal option to purchase the property. And the change I'd like to make in Section 1 and Section 2 is where we mention the chairman or CEO. I'd like you to consider amending the resolution to include the vice chairman, since the CEO is heading off to Florida to a bar mitzvah and the chairman is out for a period of time that's indeterminate. We need to get this done, and Mr. Gold is not going anywhere for a couple days. So if you could add vice chairman to the list of authorized signatories, we'll track down Mr. Gold.
Do you want to do each amendment separately? Because you said you had to amend more than one section?
No, it's just that one
Just the
section,
one?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll move it as amended.
Second.
Charlie, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's the vote on the amendment. Now somebody needs to move the resolution.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second the amended resolution.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we had no other business?
No.
IDA?
That's it.
So we have the funding.
We have a fund report meeting.
Okay, we do have, I don't know how, what order you want to take it, go ahead.
Before you, the question, is the school on 97 on the tax rolls?
Is it on a tax roll?
No.
Wills, yeah.
Is it a for-profit school or?
It's a for-profit school,
Okay, so it's
yes.
on the tax roll. And is there any update on Robert Dordry and the curb plan?
That's nothing to do with us.
There's nothing.
The county planning department is here if you want to ask her after the meeting.
Are you coming to the groundbreaking on Thursday?
Because it's down to just you, right?
That's
You are the department.
There's a bus out there.
Yeah.
You're just 3 under.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question. Jennifer, the groundbreaking on Thursday, is that going to be just the site preparation, or is that also going to be continuing on to the actual building of the facility?
It's just the excavating work.
Just the excavation?
Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Hang on.
Okay.
We need to recess the meeting to October 15th at 10 a.m. at the request of Mr. Steingart, at which time Harris Beach will have someone here.
I will be on vacation, so can I pose my questions to you after the meeting?
You can pose them. I'll get you Sean Reber's address. We're appointing Sean.
I'm not gonna be able to answer any questions.
You can ask Sean whatever you
You
want.
can ask me, but I can't answer them.
Sean.
It's actually more of a procedural thing than a.
Sure, go ahead. If it's
My-
procedural, I don't want
Yeah,
to.
my question is that, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, we haven't done the final approval on what projects we're gonna, on the tax abatement, uniform tax abatement policy.
Correct.
So they're requesting in here that there's no change for 5 years, and if we haven't made that decision, I don't know if we can approve that there's not gonna be any change for 5 years, so it's more procedural than anything.
Yeah, I
else.
mean, I did sit in on every one of those meetings. I know that Jennifer was at all those meetings. There was some suggestions of revisions, but not to any of those 3 policies.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear.
You could still decide to change those policies because they're your board's policies, but
Correct.
during the committee process, and I know Sean was there for 1, at least, maybe 2. There was never a suggestion.
Right, I just didn't wanna tie into something where they're,
It's a perfectly
where they're
legitimate-
saying, you know, they want it held open this
We're
full
gonna-
guarantee for 5 years.
We're
if
gonna
they're
run
not sure
into
we were
this,
gonna do
we're
that.
gonna run into this more and more, and maybe this is a good time to mention it. The Concord application has the same request, except they
Yep.
want 10 years. The Davos application has the same request. And, you know, it's become, there was some decisional law that says that if somebody relies upon a determination like that, then you can't change it. And certainly, you know, the Concord already owns the property, but in this case, this is a situation where this applicant has, does everybody know a little bit about the history of this application, or is it all? I mean, I can give
I
you
don't
some
know.
procedural history.
Yeah.
This applicant hired a Big 4 accounting firm, there used to be 8, now there's 4,
Mhm.
to check on the governmental policies of every county within a 2-hour drive of New York City. So they checked in Connecticut, they checked in New Jersey, they checked in New York, they checked in Pennsylvania. And they concluded that the place that they wanted to do business was either Sullivan County or anywhere in Pennsylvania. And then they started checking on land values, and the purchase price that they're paying at Kutsher's, is it in the I haven't seen the application other than to have it go through Tara's hands.
I don't think the purchase price was listed in
I don't
there,
think it
that I
is
recall.
either. It may be listed, but
It just says the project cost, it might actually be in there.
It's in there, it's just not
Yeah.
stated as a purchase.
okay.
Yeah.
It's in there, and you can figure out what the number is, and that's for 1,310 acres. When they started looking for property in Pennsylvania, they realized that property in Pennsylvania sells for $25,000 to $30,000 an acre.
Yep.
So, having married up cheap land with programs that they felt they could work with, they started looking for property here. It's not as if they came here, found Kutsher's, and then came to us. It was quite the opposite. So it's one of the times I think we could point to our program working to attract somebody here for sure. And my law firm, in particular, my wife Barbara, has represented Kutsher's for many years, so we're stepping back for
Yep.
obvious reasons, and Sean Griffin is very confident we'll be able to answer any questions you have. But we're going to face that question on the Concord, and we were going to do the Concord today, but Ira had to cancel his meeting with them.
Okay.
They're asking for the same thing. They don't want to start spending money there and then have the rug pulled out from under them.
Understood.
It's very common for IDAs to give those kinds of assurances. I haven't seen assurances extend for a 10-year period, but I've not seen projects on, how many acres is the Concord? 1,700 and something?
That wouldn't request it.
And
For
I
some
mean,
kind of a-
they're, by their own presentations, they made it to the planning board. They showed that they were building it over a period extending to a decade or longer. So Ira is negotiating that on behalf of the agency, and we'll have a recommendation for you. That's why we need to recess for a week so that he can come back and finish those discussions.
Do you wanna make
Okay.
sure you have a quorum? Like, I know I can't be here
I
next
can't be here.
Tuesday.
I'll be in Florida.
You're not going anywhere.
Tuesday, the 15th, what time?
10.
10? I can be there.
Ed?
I can be here.
Oh, yeah, I have a conference call at 9.
So we have a quorum.
At 10?
10.
I'm on.
And then we'll reach out to Steve.
Yeah, he apologized, he couldn't make it today.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll recess the meeting till the 15th, 10 o'clock.
And if any of you have any input for Ira on that question of, you know, how long is appropriate, I think it really kind of depends on the scope and scale of the project. You wouldn't give somebody 10 years to build a hardware store.
Right.
But he's been working with the developers of the Concord, and that will be the first time that our actual agent agreement will include some kind of a limitation on the ability to pull the rug out from under a project.
So we'll entertain we'll end to adjourn,
Recess?
recess, until the 15th.
I'll send out a notice to everybody,
Oh,
as
yeah.
a reminder.
Okay.
Just while we're talking about, we can talk about it then too, but can you say anything that you can see that would be, other than the obvious drawbacks to extend, you know, committing to a policy in the future? Can you, as our lawyer, can you see any, you know, to point out anything that, other than the obvious pitfalls of doing something like that?
Well, I think it's important, and what I've given Ira is some guidance in looking at how this has been done in other counties, that you don't have an open-ended time frame where somebody could sit around for 9 years, 11 months, and 3 days and do nothing. So I think the discussion that he's in with them right now is one to develop some milestones that say, so long as you've done X by these dates, we won't change our policies. I think, is that the kind of assurance you'd be looking for?
I like that.
I would agree.
So.
But it's, you know, it's one thing to keep the kettle boiling for somebody, and it's another thing, you know, that they don't do anything, but we want to see it's
Well, I had actually brought this because before we got handed them when we got here, because I knew that this was also going to be something that was potentially going to come before us.
It
and
is,
that's-
and it'll be the
and-
same request. We've
Right.
already met with them, and,
So
you
I
know,
didn't want to know if we were discussing changing it.
well, they'd
in
like
that
to,
other
they'd
meeting
like
and
to
then
have it last for 20
this
years.
going on.
But, you know, there's a limit.
Understandably so, but the whole purpose of the plan was to draw businesses here. And if we now have multiple people coming in and proposing these resorts, then it's doing what it was designed to do.
Correct.
But it wouldn't carry over to
So-
successor organ. Suppose somebody,
Sure.
if they got the agreement from us to hold it, and then they'd sell it to 3 other corporations.
No, that'd be, it would definitely carry
As long
over.
as the
Definitely
same
carry over.
purpose of the project.
It would definitely, absolutely carry over. Nobody would want to invest in a furniture store and only have the option of leaving it to their
I
children.
mean, honestly, I don't care if
Who cares?
Davos builds this or Weston. I mean, if they flip it to Weston, we should give them the same deal.
Better yet.
Well, it's just that we've had, you know, we're not in the land flipping business, you know, we're just. No, we're in the economic development. Right.
If
And,
the
you know,
jobs
somebody
are
wants to hold on to
created, we
something
don't
and preserve
care.
certain rights to that property, you know, without investing. That's why the milestone's important to me.
Yeah, okay. But it's clearly been our policy, Charlie, that we incur, we had a happy day when we closed with the guys from Mama Says. We had a happier day when they sold it to Noni's and all of them walked away with 25 million bucks. That's what entrepreneurship and risk-taking is all about.
That was all, so we got somebody else here.
Yeah, listening to the conversation, as long as there's gonna be milestones in certain parts of that age out, instead of having the whole project being covered for that whole length of time.
I don't know what Ira's discussions.
No, I'm just, I mean, that's a thought too, because.
You have Ira's email, I would encourage you to send him your thoughts, because
Okay.
I have not been a party to those discussions. Ira's been having those discussions directly with Tim
Well,
Lees.
not only them, but it's also, as long as you're talking about all these projects, is there something to look into? Because the one thing we're trying not only to create is economic development, is also hopefully reduce the tax rates on everybody in the county. We have to get something for it too.
I would send your comments to Ira.
Okay, so we'll recess this meeting, and we have another meeting for the funding corp.
Yes.
And the vice chairman of the funding corp happens to be here.